Okay, so on this video, I'm going to show you how to do the deed research on a listing that we're doing a listing agreement for. That is, we have a seller that we're preparing listing documents for, and you will be helping me with that. This is one part of the process, and it's probably the first thing that you should be doing. We're going to be basing off, again, of this listing submissions form, and it's for this property, 3100 Ellerslie. So I'm going to go into Right, and I'm just going to log into the agent's account. And like I said, you're going to have access to all the logins for the agent, so you need to find the login for that particular agent that you're doing the listing for, and use that. Do not use another agent's account for search. That is very important. And then we're going to search for the property address. So you click on search and then click on search, address search. And this is a little bit tricky because the system is not great. And I'm just going to copy the address. And then you need to select all of these. For whatever reason, they're not selected by default. And then you click results, and nothing came up. So that's going to be a little bit tricky. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a search in Google and see if another listing comes up with that address. So I'm just going to copy the entire address and put it on Google. And here's one. So let me copy this one. So you go into Redfin and then you go into the listing details. And somewhere around here should be the MLS. If you don't find it, I saw it before in Google, so I'm going to use that. Okay, it's not here, so I'm just going to look for this one, and I'm going to copy this one, okay, and see if it comes up. So let me enter it here on the search box, and here it came up, okay? And this is important because here we're going to see a lot of information from the property. I'm going to scroll all the way down and see who listed this. So this was bought by Jonathan Kirk, who happens to be the same agent that is actually listing this. So this is a previous listing. I'm going to print this out and use it as a reference. So I don't know if you saw what I did, but I went and clicked on print down here. And then again, print here. And then I save it as a PDF with the property address. So it's 31, let me copy it because I always copy and paste because otherwise you risk doing a typo. And I save it as previous listing because it's not the actual one that we're doing. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go back, and we already created this listing in the CRM. So I'm going to go into the CRM and find it. So if you scroll, if you're in the CRM on the main page for the pipeline, this is what I call the pipeline. This is where you want to be so that you can see everything, but also you can search for it in the search box. So if you go all the way to the far right and you put the address, it comes up. Another one is through here. But see here, two came up. One is the closed one and one is a pre-listing. So we're going to go into the pre-listing one, and we're going to add some details from here. So per the MLS is fee simple. So I'm going to double check, and which county is it? It's Baltimore City County. So I'm going to add that here. Baltimore City, and then I'm gonna go and search for the public record. So this little thing here takes you to the public record. This is a tax record, and we need that printed as well. So here we need to verify a couple of things. First of all, that there's no ground rent, then the time that the building was built, and the seller's name. So the first thing here is the seller's name. doesn't match what's on the submission form. If you see the submission form, it's listing Andrea Campo. So she is actually the seller, but it's an LLC. It's a company that owns this. So we need to add to the CRM the company. You see, we had added Andrea. So this is for communication purposes, but for people to make reference to it, it has to be Strathmore. And I believe it's already a contact in our CRM. So let's try and search for it. I'm gonna copy and search for it in the search box. Yeah, and it came up, and then you just verify that it's listed as a seller, okay? So now that we verify that, all of the listing docs need to be made under this name, not under Andrea's, okay? Be very clear on that. Then the year that it was built, 1920. So let's add that to this section here. And then ground rent. We click on this, and if there was ground rent, you would see a link to click on it. There is not. Now, it doesn't mean that there's no ground rent. It means that there's no ground registered here. So that is the first indication that we are that we don't have ground rent. The second one is you go to Maryland Land Rec, which is another site that you will have access to. You log in and you search by county. So this was Baltimore City, right? So you click on it, and for Baltimore City, you can search by address. So 3100, and then the address. And it's gonna pull a bunch of records from like early 1900s all the way to now. So what you want to do is use the latest one. So preferably you want to search for the deed. If you cannot find the deed, you can find the assignment, other kinds of things. Just print out everything and we'll figure it out. But in this case, we found the deed name under Strathmore, so that's good. You click on it and it takes you to the actual deed. See? And so you can confirm that this is the correct address, seller. You want to verify that the address is correct. So this is the address. And then you want to search in here in the text whether there's the words ground rent or leasehold. If it says fee simple, that means that it's fee simple. So I don't see any ground rent name here. It says fee simple. I don't see anything about ground rent. Let's continue to scroll. In this section here, it usually checks if it's fee simple or ground rent. So it says fee simple. So we check three things. The listing says fee simple. The tax record doesn't have any ground rent. And the deed, it doesn't have any ground rent. So by default, by this research, we can say that there's no ground rent. This is important for you to do because if ever comes back that there was ground rent and we didn't find it, we can at least say these are all the places that we looked in and there was no ground rent. So it's super important that you conduct all the research and you make all the notes about what you find. If you find discrepancies, if you find another one that says that it doesn't have ground rent, another one that says that it has, it's very important that you note that. So I'm gonna save this as the deed, and I'm gonna save this one as a tax record. And we need these for the for the loop, okay? All right, so you have now created, done the deed research. You just need to fill out the form. So property type, we saw that it was a row home, so we're just going to put residential. If it was a condo, we would put condo, but it's not. It's a row home. And then ground rent, we're going to say no. Okay. And if you have any doubts about ground rent, just put it on the notes section that you couldn't verify. Let me say no ground rent per deed, tax record, and previous MLS. Okay, so that's for you to make a note. And so now we're ready to move on to the next phase, which is creating the listing agreement, which is going to be on a separate